Book Club no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
And the portion of Falcom's Kiseki series we'll be playing today is Chapter 1 of Trails from Zero. It's been a hot minute because we played it early so that we could have it up on an embargo day, even though we weren't ready. So then we got ready and then had several strings of different flavored crises in different people's lives. And now it's been like 2 months since the last one. But here we are. We're doing it. We're back.
Much like the dinosaurs in that movie.
Yeah, we're back. A Dinosaur Story by Steven Spielberg.
Oh man, that's right. It was by Steven Spielberg. Why were the 90s so weird?
I don't know, man. But yeah. But before we get started, what Pokemon starter are you picking?
Fuecoco.
Same. What about you, Matt?
Fuecoco is now the only one whose name I remember, but Leaf Cat.
Leaf Cat.
Brigatito.
Brigatito. Yeah. Today's Pokemon Day, so Matt's dead. Don't work in video game retail on Pokemon Day.
Don't work in video game.
Yeah, just
don't
work in video game.
It's only worse than working for Twitter. The only thing worse is working for Twitter.
Yes. So yeah, Matt is going to be dead through most of this. So if you're listening to this live, which none of you are, make sure you poke Matt constantly to make sure that he's awake. But yeah, how is it working in video game retail in November when the 3 video games of the year have come out, Matt?
Wow. I have worked the launch for all of them. You know, people have been pretty chill about it. You know, understanding that sometimes it's just me or one other person there, trying to process through 50 games. That part's nice. The not sleeping at all, that's not nice. Do not recommend. Yeah.
I'm glad that it's mostly nice and just like working period, that amount of hours is the part that sucks because two of the 3 games are like normie games, and normies have are more often Karens than nerds are.
So just to be absolutely certain, we're talking about Call of Duty, God of War, and Pokemon.
Correct.
For those of you following along at home, but not too closely, like me with life, it's actually really interesting. The Call of Duty demographic tends to be in our location tends to be older folk, you know, 40s, 50s, even like I have a dude picked it up in his 70s, and
Wild.
they're like, bro, I'm going home to get stoned and play COD. Like, I'm stoned now. You could give me a ham sandwich and I'd be just as happy with that as my video game. Like, cool. Awesome. God of War, weirdly, those guys they mean business. Like we had pre-orders for the Joe Tanner edition, Jotner. I just refuse to say that word correctly. Which was the size of a mini fridge for no reason. But even then, like, they meant business, but everybody was just kind of excited to get their video game.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon is and for context, for just hard numbers, we had like maybe 30 people total come in for God of War. We had maybe 35, 40 for Call of Duty. We had 170 people for Pokemon.
That's a big number.
Yeah, like it is.
People don't really do it anymore, but it was hilarious when people would say, "Oh, Nintendo might be doomed because of this or that," and just had no concept of how much Nintendo's stuff sells.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we did comparable numbers today as to what we were expecting for Black Friday, just off of the back of Pokemon. It's insane. And every like Pokemon is obviously the top of the heap, but any first party Nintendo game is like that. Like those folk will come right up to the cash wrapper and say, "Yeah, I heard it sucked, but I'm gonna buy it anyway because it's Nintendo." Like, okay, here's your copy of your game. Please don't kick your boots off on my floor again. Thank you.
Wild.
I personally cannot imagine volunteering any information or anything to an employee of any establishment unless they initiated.
Actually, Sam, maybe you've seen this. Maybe it's just a more rural thing here. But, like, I probably have a solid 45-second to a minute conversation with most of the people that come through, like, purchasing stuff at the store. And that's just at the checkout aspect.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a Midwest thing. I personally don't do it, but the amount of times I've been trying to check out somewhere and somebody will comment on my anime shirt and be like, "Oh wow, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I can't wait for the movie," or whatever. And I'm just like, "Cool. Can I have my change?" So I don't doubt that it works in the reverse as well, where people will just offer conversations constantly.
Yeah.
Things are weird here. Okay, so that just reminded me, speaking of things that are weird here, you guys, y'all up here, don't adverb correctly, and it drives me up the wall. Y'all don't say, "Let me do that for you real quick." You say, "Let me do that for you quick." And you don't say,
you have to say real quick or quickly.
Yes. And you also don't say "thanks so much" or "thank you so much." You say "thanks much," which that's not a full sentence. And it breaks my brain and makes me ridiculously infuriated to be in a customer service-esque position where I get emails that are signed "thanks much." Or similarly, but different, is just "best."
I have seen people have entire sentences in this state in fragments.
Oh, I despise it.
Just like there's no nouns or verbs anywhere. They're just slapping stuff together just to get stuff.
It drives me bonkers. And I was complaining to my partner about it earlier that I had it, and I was like, I started my sentence like, "You guys don't do adverbs correctly," and then my next text was "thanks much." Then my next text after that was "keyboard smash," and she was like, "Can you give me an example?" And I'm like, "You didn't even notice that when I said "thanks much," you thought I was saying "thank you very much," but no, I was giving you the example, and it was invisible to you. The Midwest is a broken, stupid place.
It is. Well, you see, sounds are calories, and when it's this cold half the time, like, you can't spare them.
Oh, I am so excited that it's cold and dark all the time, and I understand that no one up here agrees. Everyone here has busted out their sun lamps, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can watch the TV without a glare for 4 extra hours now. But
everyone outwardly doesn't like the winter here, but and it's I've only come to this realization interacting with Sam because every year he's been here, he's texted me on the first snow. It was like the first snow, still magical. I'm like,
still magical every time.
You know, he's right though. I think it's just an inner child thing, and there's this like weird need to be super somber and grim all the time, which like is reflective of the outside landscape. I get it, but
I collect Digivices. Snow is magic. I'm a 5-year-old kid for the rest of my life. But
the problem with Texas is that when we get our first snow, it's an insane storm, and it, by our standards, and it completely breaks all our infrastructure.
But hey, 4 more years, right?
Yep.
But speaking of regions of the world that have horrible political climates and a lot of corruption and infrastructure that needs to be repaired, let's talk about the Crossbell games.
I thought we were going to talk about Wisconsin again.
No, that's what I was segueing from.
Oh, okay.
You don't segue in a loop. You don't segue from Wisconsin to Wisconsin.
That's how the Midwest goodbye happens.
It is, exactly. But yeah, so let's listen to some Zero no Kiseki music and then talk about the plot. So, chapter 1 is entitled "Afternoon of the Wolves." So the cold open starts with the you see inside the Bracer Guild, and Michelle, the receptionist, and Arios, the Cassius of Crossbell, are talking, and Michelle is like, "Dude, you gotta." Don't be such a tryhard. You're about to get promoted, and you're about to get even more stuff on your plate. So, like, try and take it easy. And Arios is like, "Don't worry, I have no intentions of overdoing it." They mentioned something about Remiferia, like something happening there, and multiple people have mentioned it so far. I personally probably wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't the fact that everyone said it. So we're probably headed there, or it'll be something happening either this game or next game or next trilogy or 10 games from now. But then Estelle and Joshua show up, and the game becomes like 200% better because our baby girl Estelle is here. Like, we knew she would be because you read the manga, but now she actually is, and it's awesome. Then we have we cut back to the SSS, and they're having a meeting where they get a request from headquarters. Says that there's some suspicious monster sightings or something. They meet 2 people from the Crossbell Guardian Force. I don't understand very well all of the armed people in Crossbell. Like, I know we have the police force and we have the Guardian Force. We also have bracers. And I don't exactly remember how they all communicate with each other. It's not like in Liberal you had the army and then you had the Royal Guard and then the bracers. Like, that one, their jobs make sense, but I don't know exactly what's what here. But all of them are corrupt and they're all cops, so they all blur together. So the two people from the Guardian Force are there. You have Sonia Bales and Noelle Seeker, and they're the ones that requested our help. There have been some monster sightings going on recently, and Ellie is like, but we are cops. We're just in the city, and the CGF does things everywhere else. Like we're this seems like it's your job, which I guess answers my question of not knowing how they. I guess the CGF is more everywhere, and the police is just inside Crossbell City. But they say that their investigation is stalled, so they want to bring in outside help to investigate the matter, and the Triple S was suggested to her. So she gives us the evidence, and we take it back to our headquarters to look it over. It seems like the monsters are wolves of some kind, but they aren't acting the same way that wolves normally act. So we decide to go and investigate. And the first place we head to is Amorica Village. We head out to the bus stop because Crossbell has fast travel. Infrastructure, yes. It has fast travel, which is amazing. It's a much smaller game than Liberal, and Liberal didn't have any fast travel. It didn't need it because it was all three games were incredibly linear, but it's cool that we have it in this game. But of course, they diegetically explain why you have to unlock fast travel by walking there the first time, by us missing the bus. So we're like, oh, the next bus won't be here for 2 hours, but it'll only take us an hour if we walked. So let's just walk. And we do so. Halfway through, there's a cute little scene where we stop because hiking is hard. And this comes up several times because we have to walk to 3 different places this week. So you get to Amorica Village, and you have to talk to all of the townspeople. And you have to do this all 3 cities that you go to this week. And it's annoying, and I hate it. And finding that one NPC in the third section that was asleep in a bed, and you could only halfway see their face sticking out of the covers is what got me looking everywhere for him. But while investigating, they encounter the chief who's negotiating with a trader from the city named Harold Hayworth. The chief explains that about 3 weeks ago, monsters appeared and made a huge mess of their crops. The CGF investigated the next day, but their investigation didn't get anywhere. The people you talk to while you're investigating, they say that something looks like a wolf, and there were wolf-like footprints found near the crops. The chief says he doesn't know if it's important, but he mentions the legendary divine wolves with white fur that were driven away by human foolishness, that are supposed to be warnings of coming danger. It's a local superstition that's obviously, because we're in a JRPG, 100% true, but he brings it up just in case it's important. So the Triple S isn't able to include anything from this information, so they decide to head to the second location that the incident was, that there was a wolf incident, which was at the college, which is the medical college, which is where Lloyd's sister-in-law, big sister-esque character, what was her name? Cecile. That's where she was working, and Lloyd was trying to get there last week, but couldn't because of orientation things. And so I was like, oh, I guess this is where we're going now. So as we're headed there, Tio hears something that sounds like howling, but nobody else does, and she says very robotly, "Oh, my sensitivity must have been turned up," or something like that. I think she might be a robot, but no proof yet that she's a robot. She just is very robot like. She's like, oh, do you guys believe that I heard it? And they're like, yeah, why wouldn't we believe you? And like several times this week, she's like, oh, hey, I just did a thing that's super robot. Is that weird? And they're like, why would we think that it's weird that you're a robot?
Maybe she just thinks she's a robot.
Maybe.
They're all just like, okay, guys, just humor.
So, so when they go to check the bus to go back to town, I don't remember why it's going to be late, but they're like, oh, we'll have to wait for a while till the thing shows up. But then Harold pops up and he's like, oh, hey, I have a car. You just want a lift? And so they get inside of his car that is scaled very incorrectly. It's like a 15-foot by 15-foot box on the inside of the car to make it have room for all the sprites, and it looks so silly to me. So while they're in the car, they mention how cars are super expensive because they're brand new, and most private individuals don't have one. Basically, the only cars around anywhere are like buses and delivery trucks and stuff like that. So the fact that Harold has one, he must be loaded. So the SSS talk about the divine wolves and wonder if they'll discover anything about them. So back in Crossbell, they go to get on the bus for St. Ursula, and but the bus doesn't ever show up. It's like 30 minutes past when it's supposed to be there. So they're like, what the fuck's up? And they're like, something must be the matter. So they follow the bus route towards St. Ursula to look for the bus along the way. And it, of course, is surrounded by the large monsters from the manga that we read about this scene. And so the bus's engine is broke down, but the driver can't get out to repair it because there's monsters hounding him. So we have a small fight to fight off the first group, and then after we get rid of them, a whole bunch more surround them, and we're in huge trouble because we're level 11, and we're just like, oh no, if only there were some level 120 people who could jump out of nowhere and save us. And then sure enough, Estelle and Joshua show up, and they do a single S-craft and kill like 7 monsters at once, and they're like, oh cool, that was easy. And we're like, maybe we should just let the bracers have our job.
Not the bracers, just these two.
Just these two. Joshua helps the driver repair the bus, and Estelle says why they're there, and so they talk for a little bit about how the SSS is basically bracer cops, and Estelle's like, so I guess that kind of just makes us comrades, so it's whatever. I'm not gonna try and steal your thunder. That would be stupid. Why would there be a main antagonist of this game that's a bracer that's trying to steal your thunder? That's stupid. So the bus is repaired and continues on its way, and so the SSS continues on to St. Ursula. When you get to the hospital, you request you ask to talk to the head nurse to talk about the incidents, and then Cecile shows up, and turns out she was the head nurse, and she is so excited to see Lloyd, gives him a huge hug and everything, and Randy is... He's a character, and he's constantly like jealous and fawning over Cecile this entire next huge chunk of the game. there's a bit of like getting to know each other and, oh, are these your girlfriends? Blah, 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 those sorts of things. And then Lloyd eventually gets her talking about the monster incident. So apparently a week ago, one of the interns was attacked by monsters while on the roof of the hospital, which is weird because they're on the roof and monsters can't really climb sheer walls. And when the witnesses told the CGF was like, oh, well, obviously you're mistaken, and left. And we're like, that's stupid. Let's go and see what's going on. So we find the guy that was attacked, and he tells the story. He keeps thinking he was imagining things, because it wouldn't make sense that he saw like a black wolf with glowing red eyes attacking him on the roof. That's super silly. Why would that be the thing? And we're like, just tell us what happened. You don't have to, like, don't assume you're making shit up. Just tell us what you saw, because it could be important. And he says that they attacked him and then he woke up unconscious. And he's like, if it was a wolf, though, it would have eaten me. Why would it just knock me unconscious? That's not really a thing that a wild animal would do. And so the SSS is like, okay, thanks. We're going to go figure out how they even got on the roof. So you go and you check all of the railings, and there's one of them where there's like deliveries that have been piling up and kind of making a stairway that could get up to the roof. And they're like, well, there you go. That's how the wolves got up. So they go to tell Cecile what's up, and there's a small thing where the head nurse Martha sees Tio and is like, oh, good to see you. I'm glad. It looks like you're doing really good. So they know each other, which will maybe come up later, because Tio is a robot and has big question marks all over her character sheet right now. So probably has some stuff to figure out there. The head nurse tells us that Cecile is visiting a patient who kind of lives there, so it's not weird for us to go and see the patient. The patient's name is Shizuku, and she's Arios's daughter. She's blind but has super keen hearing, and she remembers on the night of the attack that she heard Lytton scream, but she also heard like a dog whistle. Basically, she refers to it as a high-pitched whistling noise, but surprise, it's a dog whistle. So we thank her for her information, fill in Cecile on what we learned. The hospital puts up a fence by the delivery area so that monsters can't get up. And we're like, cool, let's head back to Crossbell for the day. That night, Lloyd has a dream about a conversation several years ago when his brother Guy left, saying he had to escort some girl to Rimiferia. Again, the Rimiferia's popped up. Lloyd stupidly thinks that he's saying he's going to go cheat on Cecile, and he's like, no, this person is only years old. And it gives you a ... and doesn't say how many, but I'm guessing it's Ren. It just seems like that would be it. Lloyd wakes up, and he gets a call on his cell phone from Sergey, who says that there's visitors, and it's Sonia and Noel from the CGF. But they say that the CGF just decided to stop investigating and say that they don't give a shit and it's not their problem. And the most recent monster sighting is in the town called Mainz to the north, and the CGF is pulling out all their troops. They're like, we're not, even though you haven't done an investigation there, you haven't figured out anything, we're just we're stopping. So Sonia and Noelle are like, you guys are small and agile and technically aren't a part of the CGF, so y'all don't have to finish your investigation. So y'all continue it, help these people. We want them to be helped, even though our superiors are up to no good. So cool. So yeah, we head up towards the north to find to make our way towards Mainz, and along the way you can stop at this. The like road splits, and Tio's like, oh, I don't know which way I heard the howl from. It could be either these ways. This one over here is like unmarked. It would make sense that it would be like wolves wouldn't be hanging out in town. If there's going to be holed up somewhere, it would probably be take the path less traveled. So you head over there and you get to Rosenberg Doll Studio, the home of Georg Rosenberg, someone who makes super famous dolls. His name is blue in the wiki. I'm not clicking on it because we haven't met him yet, but since he's clickable, he's probably super important. So, but when they get there, there's a no trespassing. Don't ring the doorbell. Literally, if you let me know you're here, you're getting shot on sight type signs outside. And we're like, oh, we should just leave. And then there's a little girl with pink hair. Spoilers. It's Ren outside. And
Ren has purple hair.
True. Lavender, violet.
You're
hair.
not even the colorblind one.
That's true. I just was going off of my memory, and my memory is bad. But if I would have read 2 sentences farther on the wiki that I'm following for the plot summary, it definitely says violet hair. But so they mentioned that they're looking for anyone who might have information on the monster incidents, and she says that she heard a howling sound recently. But that's all that she knows. Wink, wink. And Lloyd tells her that she should stay inside, but she says that the Triple S seems like interesting people, so it might be fun to tag along with them. And she might even want to play tag or hide and seek with the monsters. And Lloyd is like, all right, Wednesday Addams, stay home. You can't come with us. We're gonna go now. And she mentions that she should go play in the glass castle or with Freckles, which I don't know what that is. It'll probably come up. Then she introduces herself, says that she's Ren, and then she wants them to meet someone, but Master Jorg is still fixing up his leg, so he can't play. Which makes me think: was Ren just going to Pater Mater cops for fun and just fucking kill the party? Is that what she's implying? I know that she only halfway had her come to Jesus moment last game, but
I mean, sometimes when you're trying to get over a bad habit, you just casually engage with it.
Yeah, she's not a mass murderer. She's a casual murderer now. Like, yeah, she's getting better.
Just casual targeted murders versus
wanton destruction.
Yeah.
So the team leaves, and they're like, that's a weird ass kid. And Lloyd notices on the way out that she referred to them as the Triple S, and they never introduced themselves as cops at all, but she knew about them, which is weird. So you make your way to Mainz, which is a mining town, and on the way there, they see a large wolf with white and blue fur, and Tio can talk to it. Kinda. She says she only can get like vague impressions, but those impressions are like proverbs that he's dropping and detailed notes and stuff. So it's not like, oh, like I feel an empathic connection with this wolf, and he's kind of angry and he wants us to be safe. No, it's like he says his name is Zate, and he says that the missing piece is at the end of the road or whatever. It's like, that's not really bits and impressions. Those are full ass sentences, but okay. The wolf runs off, and Tio says that he indicates that what they're looking for is going to be in Mainz. When we get there, we see a huge van parked by the entrance to town, and it's super nice. And like Harold said earlier, cars are not common yet, so obviously is some bigwig there. So when we go to talk to the mayor, he's meeting with someone. So we go and talk to literally every person in town, and spend 5 minutes trying to find the guy that's tucked away in a bed. And then when you finally talk to everybody and you come out, you see some people from Ravash, the mafia, come out of the mayor's house. And so you go in to talk to him, and he says that there haven't been any serious injuries from the monsters yet, but there's a lot of damage that's starting to add up. And he was going to ask the bracers for help, but right now, up until Estelle and Joshua came in like this morning, Arios was the only person working in Crossbell, so they were super backed up. So he was just relying on the CGF's patrols, but then they've left, and he is like, well, what the fuck do I do? So then Ravash came by and was like, hey, we're going to be your bodyguards, and we'll show up whenever the monsters show up, as long as you give us the right to control all the septium that you mine out of your mining town, which is a real big ask. Lloyd is like, don't trust the mafia. Instead, we'll try and figure out the whole monster thing and stop it from happening, instead of just offering a protection racket. So Lloyd at this point has his Sherlock moment where he's pieced all of the detective stuff in, and he's like, I want to go and tell you all about it. So it asks you, the player, to figure it out. And I had figured it out. However, most of this game is very well translated. Crucially, the mini game was not very well translated. And so it's like, oh, we think that the culprit is the wolves, and the murder weapon is their wolf-like abilities, and we don't know their motive, and the result has been property damage or whatever. But really, we should be looking like it like this, and then you have to rearrange those. And it's phrased that it's like the goal or something. The way it's phrased is like the goal is the wolf's abilities, which doesn't make any sense. And
I don't know if this was poorly translated. I think it might have just been a silly part of the game.
I don't know, because you definitely could have gotten it right. And I knew what Lloyd was trying to say, but I failed 5 times because the goal being the wolf-like abilities didn't make any sense to me. So why would I ever have picked that one? And
You're not going to get your detective points.
I'm not going to get my detective points. You fail it.
You're a bad detective.
I am. And yeah, but if you fail it like 4 times, he's like, actually, no, never mind. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh wait, no, now I do. And then he just says the right thing, which is cute. So yeah, the way he flips it around is we don't know who did it, and they're using the wolves as the murder weapon, not the wolves using the wolf abilities as the murder weapon. So somebody is doing it, and the crucial piece of evidence is Shizuku hearing the dog whistle. Somebody is whistling and using the wolves to attack. It's also convenient that the day that the corrupt ass CGF pulls out, the mafia shows up and offers a protection racket. And now that the mayor says no, more than likely there's going to be a wolf attack tonight. So let's hang out in town and stop the wolf attack when it comes to happen. So that's correct. That's what happens. So that night, of course, the wolves attack, but it's not wolves. They looked like robot Dobermans, but I guess they're just wearing armor or something. But it's Doberman dogs and not wolves. And
the preferred nomenclature is Robermans.
Robermans. So they fight off the dogs, and they're like, haha, we did it and everything's great. But then the people from Ravash that are there are like, oh, we have more where that came from. And they then we have a bigger, harder boss fight with more dogs and the mafia dudes, and the mafia dudes heal the dogs. So it's kind of rough and hard. But then we finally beat them, and they're like, well, we have even more where that came from. And they open up that truck, and like 30 dogs come out to surround us. And we're like, well,
that truck must smell bad.
It probably does. So we're like, well, shit, it was hard facing 4 dogs. Then it was real hard facing like 5 dogs and 2 dudes. There's no way we can take on 30 dogs at once. And then 30 dogs of our own show up. The big white wolf shows up with the wolf pack, and they're like, stop giving us a fucking bad rap. We just want to be wolves and hang out and be noble in the forest and be beautiful and awesome and Sam's favorite animal. We don't need this garbage happening. And the dogs get scared of all the wolves, and so the SSS can arrest the mafia people. Meanwhile, nearby, Rin is watching from on top of a hill, and Arios comes up next to her, and they both know each other, including their Rin's secret identity as a fucking mass murderer. And Arios is like, I'm not going to tell anybody, which is a red flag. And everyone talks about him being the Cassius of Crossbell, but Cassius definitely, if he would have seen something, would have said something about known murderer Rin, whatever her current last name is, just hanging out in Crossbell. But he, knowing that Estelle and Joshua were there, is like, how long are you going to run from them? And she's just like, shut up. And he's like, just don't kill too many of my people, and I won't stop you, and I won't tell people that you're here. Back at the or no, not back yet. While we're there, the CGF shows up. So Sonya and Noelle show up and are like, yeah, y'all did great work, but everybody's really fucking corrupt. So the thugs will probably be released on bail soon, and all of the stuff that we take from them will miraculously disappear from the impound. And kind of we accomplished nothing except make some noise that the mafia is doing bad things, which is baby steps. And we're like, well, shit, everything sucks here. So we go back to the SSS, but Sergei is outside instead of in his office. And they're like, you're a man of the 90s, why are you not smoking cigars inside? Why are you smoking cigars outside? And he says, oh, y'all have a guest here and I didn't want to bother them. And we're like, who could it be? And you go inside and the fucking white wolf is there and is like, hey, I want to join the party and be a doggo in your party. And I have wolves underneath me that can take care of the wolf pack, and I'm gonna be your doggo for this game. And then Luna from Sailor Moon comes out and asks us if we want to save our game, and I get super excited because there's a wolf in this game. And that's where we save for the week. So yeah, let's listen to some more awesome music and then talk about our memorable moments. There's a wolf in this game, guys. And it's a good wolf.
There is a wolf in this game.
You know how I know this game is fantasy? Not because the wolf joined our party, but because a character was able to delegate their responsibilities effectively enough to somebody else to go off and have an adventure.
I feel like this is spurred upon by you being a manager in video game retail.
My brain is broken. It will be for at least another week.
Good thing that today is the only big shopping day of the year, and there's not another one happening next week.
Yep,
you don't have to worry
real.
about that.
You can't tell me it's real.
But yeah, I didn't do mini side quests, but I was getting my ass kicked, and I needed Samira, and one of them sounded like an extermination thing, but it was actually kind of longer, which was kind of cool. Did you guys do the abandoned apartment side quest?
Yes.
I really liked it. So you go and you meet this fortune teller lady named Imelda, and she's cool and spooky and fortune teller like, and she's like, hey, I have this property out in the downtown district that I'm trying to open back up and sell, like put it up for rent. It's old apartments, but there's some monsters that have moved in. I need you to go and get rid of them. So you go and kill all the monsters, and then as you're leaving, you hear more, and in comes a hot guy from the red team. I forget what they're called. But of the two gangs, the red one, the guy with the blonde mohawk, he shows up and is like, you guys suck at what you're doing, and runs off deeper inside. So I don't remember why the party splits, but it's stupid because they take my healer and my mage away from me and then put me in a fight where things are weak to magic. And so Lloyd and Randy run after Wald. That's his name. They run after Wald and have a big boss fight that's pretty hard. And Wald is like, keeps saying that we're like ruining things and getting in the way and whatnot. And so after you beat the boss fight, he's like, I told you, you're ruining things, getting in the way. I didn't need your help. And we're like, but you were about to die. And he's like, yeah, but this is the downtown district. This is my turf. I don't want you cops here doing anything. You're going to ruin what we have going on here. And you're like, okay, don't know what's up with that, but we killed the monsters, so let's go tell our person. So you get back to the fortune teller shop, and Imelda is not a spooky fortune teller lady. She's a landlord, a shitty, crappy real estate mogul landlord. She's one of the richest people in town, and she bought this dirt cheap property in the fucking downtown district where all the poor people lives, and she's going to gentrify it, and we helped.
And we evicted all those monsters to do it.
And we evicted all those monsters to do it. And Wald, obviously, it seems like he was going there to train or something like that. Like Wald, we should have talked to the people that lived there instead of just blindly following helping a landlord. But thankfully, our team didn't really like it. This game is continuing to not be as much of propaganda as I thought it was going to be. Like, all the cops are super corrupt and we're anti-landlord. And I like this game in the political climate of the year of our Lord 2022 a lot more than I thought I would. Did anyone do any of the other side quests? I saw that there were a bunch this week and I didn't do any of them.
I did all of them.
Are any of them good?
I don't fucking know. It was like a month and a half ago.
True.
I was speeding through it because I felt like I was super behind because I was almost assuredly the last person to get my game, so I didn't do any yet.
Yeah,
but I will now.
Yeah, I had been planning on like playing a lot along the way because the game's really good. I am enjoying playing it, and it's like I don't feel rushed to catch up and do all of those things. But then Star Ocean came out, and I just played a lot of Star Ocean.
I haven't even touched Star Ocean yet.
And then I started watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds because it's over and I could binge it. And that's also really good. Like, probably my number 2 Trek show out of nowhere. And it's only 10 episodes.
What's your number 1?
Deep Space Nine.
All right. Good answer.
Yeah. And like, I know that Deep Space Nine is the one that all film majors have to say. Like, you go to college and they're like, you can't like Next Gen anymore. You have to like Deep Space Nine. But Deep Space Nine is good, and I am a continuity buff. And instead of having to keep track on the wiki of all the star dates that they say at the beginning of every episode, I can just watch the episodes to know the continuity, which is fantastic.
Is it a bad or a good time to say the only Star Trek thing I've seen is Wrath of Khan?
I mean,
you would
that's
like
a good one.
Yeah, you would like Strange New Worlds because it ties into Wrath of Khan in a way that's not stupid. And it technically is, I mean, it's the second chronologically, but Enterprise sucks. Well, it doesn't like suck, but it doesn't rule. So you don't have to start with the Enterprise, but Strange New Worlds is kind of the first chronologically because it's a prequel to like 5 years before the original series starts, prequel. And it's really rather good. And that's my memorable moments of the week are all from Star Trek, not from this game. But I'm planning.
Yes, go ahead.
My point was that I'm planning on doing all of the side quests and everything, but this time, although being 2 months, I didn't have enough time to do it. But I plan on just waking up and playing a little bit of Kiseki every morning because it's super good and this game is fantastic.
I looked at the list of side quests that I did, and the most interesting one is there's this little kid who wants a plushie of this mascot character, but it's only at the casino, so you have to go to the casino and buy. You can either buy just a bunch of tokens and spend them on the plushie, but you can also play poker, and that's fun.
Oh, nice.
And I did real good.
Did you meet Gambler Jack yet?
No.
Okay.
I was Gambler Jack.
Ooh. Yeah, I also did a lot of fishing because fish sell for a lot in this game, and they also give you an item every time you fish. And that means that if I just spend one fishing mini game per bubbles that I see it's kind of like an extra treasure chest that gives you a small amount of item and a large amount of gold, and that's good.
It's worth mentioning that maybe not upfront, but almost always the fishing in these games, in every Trails game I've played so far, the fishing is worth doing.
Yeah, it just did not seem fun in second chapter, and then was a door in the third chapter, so I definitely was not going to do it there.
It's almost never fun.
It's not bad in this one. It is Pokemon Emerald rules. So you just wait for it to put a dot over your head, and if you have quick enough reaction time, you win. And that's fine.
Real quick, while we're talking about fishing minigames, that's the only criticism I have for Harvestella.
It's fishing minigame bad?
Fishing's not great in that game.
Rough stuff.
And as a big angler, something I'm very passionate about.
RPG needs fishing.
It's true. Oh, speaking of fishing, so when we meet Estelle and Joshua, they joke that they're like, "Oh, Lloyd and Tio, we know a Lloyd and a Tio. Ha 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 ha." It's like we never left Liberl. And I'm like, we know a Lloyd and a Tio? So I went to the fucking wiki.
I remembered Lloyd, but I didn't remember Tio.
Yeah.
So who's Tio?
Tio is their childhood friend at the farm where the Perzel farm or whatever, the very first mission that you do in the game. Tio is their childhood friend. Lloyd is the Fisherman Guild guy. That's why it reminded me. And yeah, I definitely did not remember the Fisherman Guild guy having a name, much less it being Lloyd. But
every NPC is named, and there's only so many names.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think all the other ones that I remembered, I wove in. Do y'all have any other memorable moments that you remember?
No.
I'm going to paint you a word picture of how I played this game.
Okay.
We had to close, and again, we're going back to work. We had to close the store for a while, so I just sat in the middle of the floor in the store with my Switch playing Trails, and it was like, man, I remember doing this when I was a kid, and it was great and nostalgic until I tried to stand up. And suddenly I remembered that I am an unhealthy 30-year-old.
That's where they get you. But yeah, we're hoping we'll be back to a weekly cadence with these
Someday.
Next week is both a holiday week and a Black Friday week, so this one might be 2 weeks. But we're hoping to get back on weekly after that.
What's the opposite of a holiday? A curse day?
I think it's like whatever the day after St. Patrick's Day is. You have the fun, and then you die.
Because anyway, whatever the opposite of a holiday is, that's what Black Friday is.
Yes. A profane day, a secular day. These are all dumb.
I think it's holiday, but instead of the H being capitalized in holiday, the H is lowercase and all the rest of the letters are capitalized.
No, it's in the ASCII that looks like upside down.
It's a hollow day.
Or a holiday.
This is nothing.
This is dumb. I don't think there was a joke here, and we're forcing bad jokes near it, and we should just stop.
I've dragged you guys down to my level. We can end the podcast.
Awesome. So to end podcast, that'll do it for the week. This series is a timed exclusive for our Ko-Fi supporters. So if you're hearing this in the podcast feed, come on over to www.rpgbook.club, and there will hopefully be a few extra episodes waiting on you. I actually know there will be, because now there have been some Ko-Fi exclusive episodes that are only available on the thing, so I don't have to feel as bad if we take over a month, because there's bonus content there. We now have membership tiers on the book club. So if you donate $1 more a month, you get all the stuff you get for regular donating, which is voting on our polls, getting access to these episodes early. But then we also have added 2 more tiers. $5 tier, where we shout out your name every episode, like this. Shout outs to Kale Dran, I'm guessing is how you pronounce it. It's a new supporter. Shouts to Freddie Rodriguez, Bernie L. Taylor, Aaron 524, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, and Doho. And then there's also a $20 a month tier, where we will read a 1-sentence plug of your choosing. We currently have 2 luminaries. Our first one is Eliza Tantivy, who her plug is currently for critical-distance.com, which is an aggregator for good games criticism and journalism. If you enjoy the bad stuff that you heard today, you'll probably also enjoy the good stuff that's over on Critical Distance. And then our other luminary is Carr, who is a dentist. So his shout out is not for his Twitch stream, but for your own mouth. He says to brush your teeth twice a day, most especially the time right before you go to bed. For Book Club no Kiseki, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Halk.
And I'm exhausted.
Adios, amigos.